Important. We're in a very unique period in our lives right now, right? So when you look at the technology and social media, it's a powerful thing. And it's powerful because what it does is it gives people a voice. People a voice who have never had a voice before, right? You know, we have 7 billion people on this planet. So when you think about all of the individuals who are now using these technologies, using social media, we have a lot of noise out there, right? So with all of that noise, we got to learn what noise to accept, what noise to tune out, right? And we also have to recognize as business owners and just as individuals that we have a voice as well. But if we don't amplify our voice, we're going to get lost, right? We're going to get overshadowed. We're not going to be heard. So as I walk through, you know, the corridors here at the new Black Wall Street Marketplace, I see legacy. I see impact. I see, you know, all of our forefathers and people who have paved the way for us. Madam C.J. Walker, I saw Frederick Douglass on the wall. And you look at these people who, they lived their lives, but they didn't just live. They recognized that they weren't here just to merely exist. Okay? The only way you can be remembered, the only way you can really make an impact is if you leave some sort of legacy. So I'm all about leaving a legacy. So just a little bit about my work is as a public relations expert, my company, iThrive Media Group, I'm focused on helping business owners, focused on helping individuals to amplify their voice. Like I just mentioned, right? It's very important in this day and age. So, you know, we work with individuals, companies, entrepreneurs to help them to, one, find their voice so that they can project their message, and then, of course, to engage members of the general public, members of the press, different companies, nonprofit organizations, so that they can build relationships and they can continue to reach their goals and help others to reach their goals. Okay, so what I recognize is, you know, since this is a, you know, I see a couple gentlemen out here, but this is mainly a festival geared towards women, so I'm going to speak to the women primarily. Okay, I think black women are in a very unique position in this society, right? Very powerful women. We've all seen the resilience. We've all seen everything that you all have endured and carried on your shoulders, but now is not the time just to strive because you've done that already, right? It's not the time just to survive because you've done that already too, right? But it's the time to thrive. It's the time to defy gravity, as I like to put it. And when I look at our black women out there who are doing extraordinary things, clearly we see a lot of successful black female entrepreneurs, and we have to recognize that black women are actually the fastest growing population of entrepreneurs in society, right? They're also the most educated population. Those are very powerful statistics. But at the same time, we also recognize that, like historically, due to lack of access, due to lack of capital, due to lack of different opportunities, that sometimes when our black women and black men start our businesses, you know, they're unable to really take off the way that we desire for them to take off. And since we're in the new Black Wall Street Marketplace, lots of times what we hear about is group economics, us coming together and working together collectively to make things happen, right? And that's why that's so important, even more important in this day and age than ever before, just because of the changes that we see. And in the next 10, the next 15 years, we don't necessarily know what's going to take place because things are shifting so rapidly. So that's why it's so important for us to be able to unite and work together. So when we talk about really just defying the odds, see, I named my organization Defy Gravity for a reason. You know, and I named it that, one, because I was looking at my own experience. I was somebody who, you know, always was talented, always very imaginative, but I didn't really know the power of my voice, so I dimmed my light a lot, mainly to accommodate other people, you know? So I didn't really learn about my leadership qualities until later on in life because I got to a period of frustration. How many entrepreneurs do we have out here? Okay, everybody's an entrepreneur. Okay, excellent. Yeah, clap it up for that. Entrepreneurs in the building. So already, you know, you guys have a certain type of mindset. So back to what I was saying, I always knew that there was something different about me, but I didn't know how to, you know, project my voice. I didn't know how to let my leadership capabilities truly shine until really about 15 years ago. You know, so I've been working in the industry, in the PR industry, and really just going through the motions every single day, working on clients that were powerful, that were great clients, but I wasn't really feeling a sense of purpose, and I felt like I was being pigeonholed. I didn't feel like I was properly being used. So I went through years and years of just working, not really feeling a sense of purpose, not really having passion about what I was doing. And I'm just like, my employer would always say, you know what, Ivan, you're great, you're doing an excellent job, but you're not there yet. I used to just keep hearing this over and over and over again that I was not there yet. And I got tired of hearing it, you know, because I'm like, one, I'm not really doing what I want to be doing. I'm not really being used properly. So it was at that point that I decided that I needed a change, because I recognized that nobody was going to take the blame for where I ended up in life. I had huge dreams, huge aspirations. I wanted to be successful, but not only successful, I really just wanted to identify my purpose and make sure that I wasn't just existing and going through the motions. I wanted to leave something behind, not only for my kids, but for society, because I know that I'm here to really impart my gifts onto others. They're not just for me. So I went on this journey of self-actualization, just reading all of these books, you know, development books, entrepreneur books, leadership books, watching every motivational video that you could ever think of from everybody. I don't care if they were an athlete. I don't care if it was Will Smith, The Rock, Floyd Mayweather. I don't care if it was John H. Johnson, who was the founder of Ebony and Fashion Fair Cosmetics, or Grant Cardone. All of these people, I was just watching their videos, tapping into that inspiration, and really just listening to one main thing that they kept telling me. You got to take accountability for your life. You got to stop making excuses. And that's what I started doing. I stopped making excuses. Am I moving too much for you? I like to move around when I talk. Okay. So you have to stop making excuses. So I recognize, you know what? I'm going to take 100% control of my life. If I fail, it's going to be on me. But if I succeed, it's going to be on me. And that's what I did. So in 2014, I started my company, iThrive Media Group, December of 2014. So my PR agency will be 10 years old at the end of this year. And it was the greatest decision that I've ever made in my life. But at the same time, it was one of the most difficult decisions that I'd ever made, because now, like, I was really 100% in control. All the freedom that I said that I wanted, you know, the opportunity to live and walk and operate in my purpose, I had that opportunity, but I couldn't blame anybody. I couldn't say, hey, you know, this is your responsibility. Everything, all the onus was on me. And I recognized that. But you know what? I said, I'm not going to stop. Nothing is going to stop me from reaching my goals. Nothing is going to stop me from reaching my aspirations and my dreams for what I want to do for myself, what I want to do for my family, and what I want to contribute to the world. So I just set out on this journey. I'm sitting here speaking to you all as somebody who used to have stage fright. I used to literally be standing up in front of my class, you know, when we're giving the presentations, and my heart would just start racing. My legs would start trembling, my heartbeat would just start racing, and I had to even get myself out of that, because guess what? I started a PR agency. My job is to help other people to amplify their voice. What do I look like standing up here being afraid to speak, right? So I had to go on that journey. In order to be a speaker, I had to say, you know what? I'm gonna have to force myself out of my comfort zone, okay? So I started identifying any opportunities. This is again about 10 years ago, identifying any opportunity that I could to speak. So at this time, when I first started my company, I was actually in a small town called Palm Coast, Florida, which is about 30 miles north of Daytona Beach, and probably about an hour north of Orlando, 45 minutes south of Jacksonville. But I reached out to Bethune-Cookman University, and I said, you know what? I'm going to speak to the PR students in this class. About 17 people in this classroom, right? And I was nervous, but you know, I'm giving a presentation, and then that was my first one. But they asked me to come back. So the next time I spoke in the auditorium before 70 people. Then I'm like, you know what? I might be on to something. So I just started looking at all of these opportunities to speak, and before you know it, I'm speaking in front of hundreds of people. And the goal, of course, is to be speaking in front of thousands of people. But I've spoke across the country. I've spoken at schools, business conferences, empowerment conferences, and it's really just a matter of me saying, you know what? I'm not going to be crippled and hindered by fear anymore, okay? So how many people have really gone through some true trials and tribulations since they started their business? Raise your hands. Absolutely, absolutely. I have too. But how many of you are still in business? Okay, so one of the lessons that my dad used to tell me is that in order to get business, you got to stay in business. That was one of the biggest lessons that I learned. So it didn't matter if I was hanging by a thread with my last client. I knew that if I just did a great job with this client, other people were going to get referred to me. Other people were going to see the work that I was doing, and then I'd have the opportunity to rebound. And I'll tell you, I had to rebound a number of times. Hanging by a thread with my family and everything. You know, how are we going to make it happen? But I just had the mindset that nothing was going to stop me. So let's talk about mindset a little bit when it comes to success. Who would you say are your biggest supporters? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it strangers? Who says family? Okay, got one back there. Who says friends? Okay, what about strangers? Okay, so most of us get our support from strangers, right? So when it comes to mindset and it comes to success, one, we got to stop making excuses and we got to understand reality. In my book, Defy Gravity, Unleashing Your Greatness Within, one of the things that I say is to stop lying to yourself, okay? We lie to ourselves way too much as individuals. We lie to ourselves way too much as entrepreneurs, right? And lots of times we still don't like to take accountability. We like to cast blame on other people for why we're not accomplishing our goals. But the reason most of us aren't accomplishing our goals is for one simple word. It's fear. It's fear. So a lot of us complain, you know, I'm not getting the success. I'm not getting the support from my family and my friends, but we forget that there's 7 billion people on the planet, right? We don't like to step outside of our comfort zone and actually engage other people. Most of us like to rely on our network, or our tribe as we call it, of people who are just around us, our friends, our family, who aren't even our customers. They might not even know how to support us. So sometimes we put more responsibility on our close friends and family than we even should, right? Because those aren't the people that we're supposed to be selling to. Those aren't the people that we're supposed to be inspiring on an everyday basis. And let's be honest, it's hard. Because they've seen us through all of our BS. You know what I'm saying? They've seen us through all the ups and downs. So, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, go on, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? You're talking all of this jazz, you know, just keep working. You know, and even me, I used to get offended by that stuff. I'm like, you know what? My family and friends ain't liking my social media posts and ain't sharing this and sharing that, you know, and I started to not worry about that anymore because I recognize they're not my customers. I'm not trying to sell PR services to my family. Of course, if they started a business or whatever, I'm willing to help. But everybody else out there is where the money is, that's where the support is, and that's how you're truly gonna build a legacy. Right? Because it's not just about you and it's not just about your family. So we got to get outside of our comfort zone by conquering our fears. Okay? That's what's keeping lots of business owners from, one, even sharing that they even have a business. You know, we just sit in our little silos, sell our products, and we're not posting all over social media. We're not taking out ads. We're not utilizing PR to promote and do interviews and talk about our businesses because we're afraid. That's right. We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid because, you know, might be self-conscious about our voice or how we look, just really foolish things, right? There was one time where I'm like, you know what? I don't like the sound of my voice. I annoy myself. I don't know how I can sit there and listen to myself every single day. Until I started seeing people, you know, they got the most annoying, squeaky voices in the world, and they just out there just as confident as you can possibly be out there making things happen. You know, and it's just because they were able to conquer that fear and not place too much judgment and self-limiting beliefs on themselves. So it's really about mindset and overcoming that fear. That's number one. Number two, you know, I talked about the power of amplifying your voice. How many people have heard about public relations? Raise your hand. Okay. Everybody's heard about public relations? Okay. So what's the most important thing when it comes to public relations? Can anybody just shout it out for me? Relations. Okay, there you go. The operative word is relations, right? So what I do on an everyday basis is help people to establish relationships. And what I recognize is a lot of people, like I said, have trouble getting outside of their comfort zone and engaging other people. So in order to grow your business, in order to grow your life in general, you got to step outside of your comfort zone because your tribe, your real tribe, who's going to help you to be successful and help you to grow, is probably strangers. Right? It's not just people in close proximity. They might not even live in the same state as you. But unless they know that you exist, there's no way that you can connect with them. No way. And with a lot of black business owners, you know, we might be doing a great job like in our area. We might have our frequent supporters, but locally, regionally, nationally, and even internationally, nobody knows who we are. And you gotta ask yourself, what did I start this business for? Did I start this business just to be average, just to be mediocre? Or did I start this to really build a legacy, to really make an impact in the world? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. How many people started their business to make an impact? Raise your hand. Okay, some. Okay. How many started a business to have some type of financial freedom? Raise your hand. How many people want to leave a legacy so their business doesn't just die with them? Raise your hand. Okay, great. So we all want to leave a legacy. In order to leave a legacy, people got to know who you are. I can walk down that hall and I can see the picture of Frederick Douglass right there on the wall. If I didn't know who he was, I can read about him, I see his picture, right? I can do that for any of the greats. And most of the time when you hear about the greats, they've overcome a lot of adversity. Most of them didn't start off being rich like a Donald Trump or something, having money already accessible to them. You know what I'm saying? Or his kids who are already billionaires, right? Most of us had to work from the ground up, and not just black people. When you look at a lot of the greats, they had to build, they had to overcome certain adversity. That's what gives you the armor for greatness. That's what gives you the resilience and the stamina that's necessary to be successful, because we're going to go through ebbs and flows. We're going to go through adversity whenever we're striving for something great. So we just got to prepare ourselves for that, but we've got to let the world know who we are. That's the most important thing. We already have so many things that are trying to pull at us and keep us from projecting our voices, right? We're still battling for platforms, right? But lots of times we do ourselves a disservice by not doing our due diligence, by not using what we have available. And one, that's community, right? That's community. So I'm tired of hearing that we don't support each other. I'm tired of hearing that we don't have unity. We see events like this where people do come together, people do care about, imparting their knowledge and wisdom and their expertise in their communities, all right? So the next step is you gotta understand how important networking can possibly be. How many people have walked around and introduced themselves to people in this room? Or did we just sit down at the table? Be honest. Okay, you have. So the first step is, do you know what she does? Right here in the green, right here in the green. Okay, so let's figure that out today. That's all I'm saying. It's not really to cast blame, but these are just some of the things that even I do that I had to work on, right? So we got to make sure that we're communicating with one another and we're sharing the message. If you're coming to a business-related event, an event that's focused on success, one of the most important things is connecting with people, communicating with people, exchanging business cards. How can I help you? What do you do? How can I be an asset or of service to what you do? That's how we grow. That's not only how we grow our businesses, but how we establish partners and potential strategic partnerships. Because strategic partnerships and collaborations is really what's going to take us to the next level, not the individualistic mindset, right? Because you never know who you're going to call on. Like, for example, I just finished going to an event where I was speaking to these young high school students who are considering going to HBCUs. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. So I was at this event, and I was just talking about what I've recognized since I've been in the industry. There are so many people, when I'm just Googling and identifying opportunities for my clients, I see, hey, this girl I went to Howard with, she's an editor at Essence Magazine, right? Or this person's at Black Enterprise Magazine, or this person's at Forbes, right? And these are people that I went to school with, and regardless of the industry, in the medical field and politics, you identify people who you've crossed paths with previously, but you might not have known what they were going to become at that point, right? And it taught me a valuable lesson. You never know who somebody's going to be, right? You don't even know where you're going to be 10 years from now. But what I do know is that if you put in the work and if you focus on building relationships, see, everything isn't just about this type of capital, right? Right? There's human capital as well. It's relationships, networking, building. Because I'll tell you, as most entrepreneurs, when they're starting off, we've hit those financial snags, right? Now, if you have somebody that you've connected with that you can just make a phone call and make that problem go away, that's kind of crazy, right? That's powerful. Lots of us can't do that, though. Why? I'll go back to the fact that because our network mostly is our family and our friends. You know what I'm saying? So when we got to call on them, hey, I need $10,000 real quick. That's not looking too good. So you got to build a network, right? And you build a network by bringing value, okay? So let's talk about bringing value for a second. In order to truly grow, you have to identify a problem, okay? And you have to figure out how you can bring a solution to that problem or bring value to that problem. So for my clients, most of them, they know exactly what they're doing. You know, they might be in the tax business, they might be a financial advisor or consultant, they might be an author, they might be a speaker, they might be a celebrity. And my focus is to help them to amplify their brand by sharing a positive message about them to the public. So I gotta help them engage the press, I've gotta help them to engage the general public, their target audience, events, corporations. These are the types of people I have to help them to build relationships with. Now, my business is contingent upon my ability to deliver those results to these clients. If I don't deliver, they don't remain my clients. If I don't deliver, they don't refer people to me. So lots of the business that I get a lot of referrals across the industry because I work with a lot of people, but not only that, I pride myself on customer service and really bringing true value and true results. So what that does is not only makes my current clients advocates and supporters for my brand, but it makes them repeat customers, and then they're willing to refer people to me. So take note of that, all right? You want to make customers, not just paid customers like a one-off, two-off. You want to make them advocates and supporters for what you do, okay? That's why if you look at somebody like a Beyonce, she's got the beehive, right? So you got Beyonce, if she releases a fragrance, if she releases a country album, you know that they're going to show up and support her because they mess with her. Right? So here's a very valuable lesson as you're taking that into consideration. People don't care how much you know, they care how you make them feel. All right? People don't care how much you know if you don't have credibility. Right? People don't care what you do if you don't have a track record for success. So how many of you have a track record of success, a history of success that you can show people? Raise your hand. Excellent. Okay. How many of us need to work on that? I do. You know what I'm saying? You know, every day I'm building this track record. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about public relations in the sense that a lot of us focus on social media. A lot of us focus on taking out advertisements. And while everyone's not ready for public relations, I think that your goal should be to try to get ready for public relations.